Let me start with the news breaking right now from NBC reporting that the suspect is cooperating with the FBI. Is that true?
So, Megan, yes, it's a great coalition that brought us to this point where we arrested the pipe bomber that terrorized our nation 5 years ago. And in terms of what's ongoing, it's a little difficult to talk about because the suspect is now in the court proceedings. But as you would suspect or expect from the FBI, we do engage with all suspects that are arrested to see if they're willing to speak to us. And those matters are ongoing.
Dan Bongino told Hannity last night that you guys have interviewed him at length. Is that something you can provide any color on?
We have. We've sat down with him and talked to him. For us, though, we can't divulge the substance of those conversations because the prosecutors and the Department of Justice are going to be the ones that adjudicate that information as to whether or not they need to use it in a court of law and present it for purposes of indictment and grand jury and further execution of search warrants. So this is a very much an ongoing investigation. We're going to be continuing to conduct multiple search warrants. We're going to continue to put multiple witnesses in grand juries because we want to make sure we've captured the totality of this individual's conduct.
Okay, but he is talking.
He's speaking to us.
Wow. Has he lawyered up?
I can't get into that because it infringes on some of his constitutional rights, and we at the FBI are going to uphold even this individual's constitutional rights to due process.
Let me ask you this question. Have you seen Benjamin Crump at all?
I have not. I have not seen him, but maybe we will later.
You might, yeah, given the family's history from, what we're gathering now, reporting over at the Daily Wire that he represented the dad. Can you outline for us or give us a better feel, Kash, for what was sitting at the FBI for those past 4 years? And then what did you guys add to it? I know you didn't get new tips, but you also talked yesterday at the presser about working with Jeanine Pirro and the DOJ. When you needed a subpoena, they would give it to you because the lawyers need to arm the investigators, the cops, with the tools to get what they need. So what did you add to, and what was already sitting there for those 4 years?
So let's work backwards because executing a search warrant and subpoenas are a position FBI wants to get to. But in order to get there, we have to have probable cause and targets and accounts that we need to examine. So what the FBI did was we went through 3 million lines of evidence in this case. And Deputy Director Bongino spearheaded an effort to create a team here nationally of subject matter experts that came into the FBI and reviewed those 3 million lines of evidence. That included information such as cell phone data, tower dumps, triangulation information. So the FBI has some of the best cell phone analysis systems in the world. We call it a CAS system. And basically we said, hey, let's look at every single phone number again that was in the area. That's what I mean when we said we didn't receive any new information. We just reviewed the information that was already in our holdings in our databases. And when we went through that, we found leads that we then went with our great prosecutors at the Department of Justice and Attorney General Bondi and U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro and said, hey, now we need some search warrants. Now we need search warrants on these providers, social media accounts, email accounts, cell phone accounts, and we need to ultimately execute search warrants of his residence and place of business because that's where this individual went most. And so naturally, we had to develop enough probable cause to get there, and that takes a little bit of time.
Did this guy's name, Brian Cole, exist in the system before you guys found him? You identified him?
That piece of information we'll reveal in court because that's the appropriate place to reveal it. In terms of any history or prior contacts with law enforcement, as I said, the investigation's ongoing. So it's not just whether or not he had contact with the FBI. Did he have contact with the state authorities? Did he have contact with the local authorities? Did he have any contact in the juvenile system? Those are all questions we're answering now because we have to send out those leads to our partners after the individual is identified and say, hey, what do you guys have on him? Because we're not done with the investigation. And then we go back to our U.S. attorney partners and DOJ and say, hey, we need some more search warrants. And I'm just making this up in the state of wherever because he lived there for a period of time. Those are things we don't know the definitive answers to just yet, but those are the things we're developing.
The credit card information around his purchases seems clutch. Is that something that you must have gotten that yourselves? Because it seems to me what you're telegraphing is you identified from cell phone data, among other data, cell phone tower data, he was on your list. And then you started narrowing the circle. But then at some point you had to get a subpoena for his credit cards, because you do require probable cause to get somebody's credit card data. You can't just get that because you got a list of 10,000. There would have had to be something a little bit more narrowly cast. And then you start like a scene from Homeland on Showtime with Claire Danes and the whiteboard. This is how I picture it, looking at the Visa, the MasterCard, the Home Depot, the Walmart purchases, and cross-pollinating, like the pipe bombs, the end caps, the battery, the kitchen timer, and which person on this list has got who appears on every list. Is that basically how it went down?
So there's multiple lines of effort, as we call it, right, going on at this time. Not only are we looking for credit card information as to his transaction history, we're also looking at his social media accounts, email accounts, to see what he put out on the internet and if he communicated with anyone. While we're doing that simultaneously, we're also looking at, it's been publicized, about the uniqueness of the sneakers. Okay, well, who bought this type of sneaker? And as it's been disclosed in the affidavit, which we can now talk about, this individual bought pipes, end caps, wires, bomb making material. So those are all pretty good and significant investigative leads in terms of individually. But when you combine them with the multiple lines of effort, the universe of people goes from this down to here. And that's what we had to do. There was, of course, like any investigation like this, which is a massive manhunt, multiple suspects that we have to eliminate along the way, because most people or everyone else that didn't do this is innocent. And so we have to work through that process methodically before we just go out and arrest people. And those sort of come in together when we, if you imagine concentric circles. Oh, he bought end caps. Okay, did he buy these sneakers? Who was he talking to on this day? Where was his cell phone pinging on this day and this time? At the same time, other suspects along the way were saying, do they have alibis? Were they even around? Why are they suspects? A lot of people are allowed to buy some of these parts individually for actual lawful use. So we can't go out just and arrest those people because they bought one end cap. And so that totality of information, when you go through 3 million lines of evidence, literally, that has to take time to narrow down. And we don't have a computer system that does that. We had humans that we brought in from around the country to do this for hundreds of days and thousands of man hours.
It's crazy. It's incredible to think about. And then on top of it, according to the affidavit, you line all that up with the scanners that have his license plate getting him to the location. I mean, that's a cherry on top of the sundae once you have the cell phone data showing his cell phone at the RNC, at the DNC, at the necessary times. He purchased the pipes, he purchased the end caps, he purchased the timers, he purchased the batteries, the wires and all that. And then whatever else you found on email. And then boom, his car was it delivered him right to the place. And it looks like, according to the affidavit, you had seen him, you were able to place him at the same location earlier, like scouting or buying a meal. The last part of the affidavit suggests he was in that location prior to the date the bombs were planted, possibly scouting, possibly, just checking out the area.
Right. Obviously, we need to match the description of the suspect on video. The video has been publicized for years. But what this FBI did was came in and enhanced the video. I don't know why the prior FBI didn't do that. I don't know why the prior FBI didn't look at the 3 million lines of evidence. I don't know why they didn't use our cell phone capabilities and our technological capabilities at the FBI. The only thing I can come up with is either they were too incompetent in terms of leadership or intentional. And I think it was intentional because it was a further weaponization of law enforcement. So when you match up the suspect's height and physical appearance with things like a license plate reader that attributes to him and further information such as cell phone pings, you're getting into a very small circle of people that it could be. And once we're able to execute law enforcement process and search warrants over these last few months, we were able to produce what he bought, where he bought it, when he bought it, and the history of buying it and how often he bought it. And remember, this kid was 25 years old at the time of the incident. He's now 30 years old. There's a 5-year history of information that the FBI has to go through to make sure we've captured all the information for our prosecuting partners.
He was buying stuff from October of 19 through and actually after this attempted bombing. He kept buying, according to Janine Pirro, even after the pipe bombs were found and did not go off. But it started, originally we thought maybe, okay, there was something about him buying all the stuff on June 1st and June 8th, 2020. What was in the news then? George Floyd had just been killed on May 25th. Could it be related? But the truth is he had started purchasing this stuff as early as October 18th or October of 2019, before all that. And Kash, what was interesting to me was for that long period from October 19 through January 21, he was buying the material at all these different Home Depots down in Northern Virginia, at a different store that sold, I think, the timers, like sort of the kitchen timers that he used, or the 9-volt batteries, I think it was. And a lot of the purchases in cash, but a lot of the purchases on his own credit card. So in some ways he was clever in trying to cover up his tracks, and in others, so not clever. I mean, does that make sense to you?
You know, look, we this year alone, this FBI has arrested 25,000 violent felons. That's twice as many from last year, 110% increase, literally. And if you look across all those cases and all those criminals, they vary in how they have their operational security, whether it's good, bad, or in between. So it's almost impossible to decipher exactly every single piece of information that led this individual to say, I'll use my credit card on this day, but I'll use cash on the next day. We'll try to develop that out so we can provide the public with a clear picture. But it's not unusual to have mixed operational security, really good on one day, and then maybe a slip up on the next day. But also,
big time.
5 years passed. 5 years have passed. So this individual was basically out there saying, I got away with it. I mean, he's not a stupid person, and he sees the news and he sees the videos and he sees the commentary on social media and on TV, and he's probably watching it saying, okay, maybe I'm off the hook. We don't know the definitive answer.
How did you find the cash purchases? There's information in the affidavit about how you guys found out, let's say, I think it was on the 9-volt batteries. You saw him purchasing some in, I think, November of 2020, and that was credit card, but then also in December 2020, and that was cash. How did you track down his cash purchases?
This is what FBI agents do. When you put them out in the field to investigate crimes, this is what they're trained to do. They go out to the community. They go out to the stores. They go out and use video surveillance. They go out and say, hey, this is a local community in Northern Virginia that this individual has supposedly resided in for a period of time. Do you know this guy? Did he come into your store? I'm just speaking generally. Did he buy this specific product? Because in a lot of these stores, it's unusual to walk in and buy one or two of these things at any one time. Did he do it again over the course of time? And this is just the great investigative work of tireless agents who went out there and repeatedly used these skills. And look, along the way, Megyn, there was a lot of strikeouts. But this FBI was not taken off target by those strikeouts. We stayed on mission until we connected with the stores and the service providers and the accounts and the information behind him. And also, once we figured out that this individual is a likely suspect, we're not going to just leave him be in the neighborhood. This FBI creatively, successfully, and surreptitiously monitored him because we wanted to make sure there was no future casualties. Because remember, Megyn, he made bombs that actually worked. They just didn't go off, thank God. It's not that he made a device and screwed it up and it was never going to go off. Thankfully, it didn't go off, but this individual had the capability and mindset to make bombs that actually worked.
Ever read the label on a typical bag of chips? It's often a science experiment of seed oils, MSG, artificial dyes, and mystery ingredients. Masa is part of the growing movement to bring back real food. Masa chips contain just 3 ingredients: organic corn, sea salt, and 100% grass-fed beef tallow. Not only do these chips avoid the bad stuff, they also taste delicious too. Snacking on Masa chips is nothing like eating regular chips. With Masa, you feel satisfied, light, and energetic with no crash and no bloat. And if you love Masa, then you will love Vandy Crisps. Vandy, which is Masa's sister company, makes the most delicious 3-ingredient potato chips too. Ready to give Masa or Vandy a try? Use code MK for 25% off your first order at masachips.com or vandycrisps.com, or simply click the link in the video description or scan the QR code to claim this delicious offer. Don't feel like ordering online? Masa and Vandy are now available nationwide at your local Sprouts supermarket. Stop by and pick a couple of bags up before they're all gone.
Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.